Aldermen, Alderwomen. Let us pray. Most Heavenly Father, we stand before you this evening, first of all appreciating you and recognizing that you are the author and the finisher of our faith. You're the supreme being and you're in control of everything. There is nothing that you cannot do. There's no place that you cannot go. There's nothing that you don't see, Lord, because you are omniscient. You're omnipresent and you are everything, praise God, and all in our eyes. And even if we don't recognize you, we know that you are still the power from on high. Now we come together, Lord, for this meeting tonight. For these that are in charge with the responsibility of leading a people in a community. The mayor, the aldermen, the alderwomen represented here, Lord, are tasked to make decisions that will enhance and bless the community and all those that live therein. So we pray tonight, Lord, that the decisions that are made, praise God, be done to offer the best direction for all those that it might affect. Bless these that are here, Lord, to present questions and petitions, Lord, that we do things decently and in order. Lord, and that the outcome will be those things that will satisfy and be what you have authored them to do and to be. Lord, bless this community and bless this town of Spring Lake and all that live therein. We pray this prayer with confidence and faith. In the name of Jesus, we do pray. And all of God's people said, thank God.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Praise God. Now stand with me as we quote the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to this flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless you.
Thank you so much for that. So I do ask that you turn off all cell phones. I'm checking mine too. And please adhere to our code of conduct rules that are located on each side of the wall, which means keep all sidebar conversations to the absolute minimum. And again, turn off your cell phones. I will now move on to agenda item 3, additions or deletions. Are there any? All right, we will move on to the approval of the agenda. I'll now entertain a motion for approval. Mayor Pro Tem? I make a motion to approve the consent items. Agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Alderman Placido.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, moving on to the approval of our consent items, the draft minutes of the October 9th, 2023 regular meeting and our community appearance and sustainability committee application. Mr. Patrick, that's a great addition. Awesome. Alderman Palacios.
Make a motion to approve consent items.
Alderman Cooper.
I second that motion.
Any discussion? Alderman Palacios.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to thank Mr. Morrison for volunteering to be part of our appearance committee. He's a well-known business owner here, and we appreciate his volunteer work that he does in the community. He often comes out to the town cleanups, and we appreciate that kind of work. And he came to the meeting, the appearance committee meeting earlier this month, and really is just a natural fit for that committee. So we thank him. That the approval of his seat now will make sure there are no more vacancies on that committee right now, which is a great thing. I don't think any of our committees have any vacancies except the special events committee. So thank you again, Mr. Morrison. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Community engagement and community involvement is critical to sustaining operations, community connection, and camaraderie. So thank you. And again, now our committees are open to the public. So if you, just because you're not available to be a voting member does not mean that you can't attend and provide your input. So we welcome you to come to each of our committee meetings and, voice your opinions, concerns, ideas. We need you. We work together, y'all. All right, we'll now move on to agenda item 6. our public comments, and we will begin with Ms. Priscilla Burton from the Sand Hills Family Heritage Association. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Priscilla Burton. Our organizational address is 230 Chapel Hill Road, Spring Lake, North Carolina, 28390. And I come before you, Mayor Anthony, and the Town of Spring Lake Board of Aldermen, to give thanks to you. The Board of Directors and staff of Sand Hills Family Heritage Association extend humble appreciation to you, the Town of Spring Lake Board of Aldermen, for the recent proclamation declaring the old Spring Lake Civic Center a building of historical significance. Your recognition of the value the reopening of the Spring Lake Civic Center will have on citizens locally and beyond inspires our organization to remain steadfast with this project and the needed work of preservation. We are excited about the support the Town of Spring Lake has given to Sand Hills Family Heritage Association and the potential economic benefits the reopening will have for the town. As a future tourism and cultural site, more visitors can be expected to come to 230 Chapel Hill Road for historical tours, programs, and other events, thus also patronizing local businesses. This proclamation especially honors our elders from the past who had the wisdom, vision, and determination to construct a building that would stand strong for use by future generations. Signed with sincere gratitude by our board chair, Janet Brower, and by our executive director and founder, Ms. Amy Jenkins.
Thank you so much.
Did y'all want a picture?
Yeah, let's do a picture. Pictures are always good. Would you like to? Are you staying for the meeting or sure? Okay, we can do it.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to Mr. Daniel Gerald. Topic of concern is Town of Spring Lake. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Gerald. Stay at 180 Tram Road, Spring Lake, North Carolina. 8%. 8%. That is what the required fund balance is supposed to be for a town. 8%. Spring Lake was well above 8%, even though $400,000 was missing, which was supposed to be watched by the board. What I find fascinating by that is that $1 million was stolen in Orange County. 1 million. They didn't shut down that government. No, they did not. So where's the parity of treatment? What are we trying to do? What precedents are we trying to set? George Bush, voodoonomics. That term might be familiar with some of us. May be very familiar with the LGC. Because I wonder, if you're below 8%, how in the world can you save up $11 million? Voodoonomics? Or was it a competency level? Always be careful who you let into your house. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gerald. We'll now move on to Mr. Julius Wayman. Hi there.
My name is Julius Wyman. I just got here about a week ago, and I was here before in the past. I was at the Coliseum over there at National Guard years ago, and at 73 years old, I said, I got to get back to Spring Lake. Yeah, I applied here a while back for a job. It's been a few years ago, and I've just been moving around, and family members are all gone in Jacksonville, Florida. it's a mess everywhere. So I said, I'm going back to Spring Lake. Maybe I have some luck. I'm looking for a job. I went to McDonald's and I'm harmless, y'all. I'm 73, but I'm excellent shape. I wanna work. Somebody can hire me. And you'll see. Excellent. So, thanks, you guys. Like being here. Come again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Julius. Awesome, we will continue on with agenda item 7. We will start with our presentation. It's going to be our Veterans Day 2023 proclamation. And so, we went ahead and put the proclamation out now because we won't meet again before Veterans Day, and we want to make sure that Spring Lake is always honoring our military heritage, the veterans that serve right here on this board of aldermen, and the veterans, their family members that are within our community. So again, we want to say thank you for your service, thanking the family members for lending those soldiers to the United States Army to protect and serve our country, and protect our freedoms and liberties that we love and enjoy every single day. And so again, I would like for the veterans on our board to please stand so that we can recognize you. Let's y'all. And veterans in the audience, can you please stand, please? Come on, please. Thank you for your service. And in lieu of time, I am not going to read the proclamation. It is in your agenda packet, very beautifully written, so I highly encourage you to read the proclamation, encourage a veteran, thank them for their service, remember the fallen, and continue to honor this day because it is so very, very important, especially in the fabric of our lives here in Spring Lake. I love the beautiful mural that gets to pay homage to our soldiers, and it's in perfect time for Veterans Day. And I know they're going to talk about that a little later on, and I'm super excited about what our veterans, the Military and Veterans Affairs Committee is doing in honor of Veterans Day in partnership with our Appearance and Sustainability Committee. So I'll let you guys wait in anticipation to see what happens from that. I'll let them tell about it a little later on. So happy early Veterans Day to all of the veterans. Again, remember to thank a veteran genuinely. We hear it a lot, thank you for your service, but every time it never loses its impact. So happy Veterans Day. All right, we will now move on to our September 2023 Code Enforcement Report. Yay! From a military veteran. Hi, Pierre.
Hello all. Met almost everyone. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Like I said, I'm Derek with Code Enforcement. Been here for a couple months now, a little over a couple months, and I think we're making pretty good strides. Like every town, things come about, new faces, new letters, new names. You know, it's a little bit of an adjustment, but I think we're adjusting pretty good. So I'd like to go over my report. The month of September, we opened up 22 cases, and we abated 15 cases. So far, since we've been here, we've opened a total of 62 cases, and we've abated 35 of those. So we're just a hair over half, which is actually pretty good. We are moving out of the grass stages. So we plan this month to move forward with a lot more minimum housing and start working on a lot of that. Due to caseload and things like that, that's why we work the way we do, especially during the growing season. Lots of junk vehicles that were removed this month. A lot that I've spoken with a lot of the property owners. They've already planned to have a lot of things done as well. We're getting a lot of things in place. As far as doing town abatements, I did send over today a list of, can't tell you exact number, I'm sorry, multiple properties that will be ready for town abatement as far as cutting the grass and things like that. A lot of complaints that's come in from multiple people. So a little bit about me, since you don't know me. Derek May, born and raised in Stokesdale, Madison area of North Carolina's Rockingham County. Been pretty much lived there ever since. I did join the military right out of high school. Went to Afghanistan 2002, 3, and 4. Was involved in that. Right out of that, I've done some odd and end things, but then I was a law enforcement officer for about 5 years. Unfortunately, with my back and situation, I've had surgeries, and so I got out of law enforcement. It was just getting a little bit too much on my body from previous injuries with the military. But then, lo and behold, I found Brandon, and here I am doing code enforcement, and have been doing that for quite a while. Any questions or concerns for me? Any properties you have any questions about, or report, anything on the report that you may not 100% understand that I can help you with?
I do have a question. First, I want to say thank you guys, because you came in and did exactly what you promised to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Was to make some changes in Spring Lake. One of the things that we did discuss was, the town wants to be clean. We firmly believe that the residents want to see a clean community, but sometimes situations are out of the residents' control, and sometimes it can get out of hand. And one of the things I want to commend you guys on is the relationship building with the community, and not just, going in as big, scary code enforcement. You're actually going in there to, talk to our residents and see how we can help, how you can help, how we can make things better for Spring Lake. So I really appreciate that. In comparison from last month, are you seeing a good amount of transition or of cleanup? I see the abatements are coming in, but.
I think it was a little bit of maybe just a hair of a slowdown as far as, getting people to abate things. I would like to see more, of course, but 15 abatements in a month is actually pretty good, when you look at the scope of things, especially with other towns. I will say this, I work other towns, I've worked multiple towns over the years, and I'm actually it's a pretty good response, compared to some. I mean, some towns, it's a battle. It just depends on, where you're at, and if they ever had code enforcement before, especially when you go into a new town that's never had code enforcement, they're like, get out of here. So that's what the citizens feel. So no one likes to be told what they can and can't do on their property. So I do my best to explain to them what the ordinance is and why it's in place and things like that, So I've had good responses. I've had a couple bad ones, but, we work through them.
Alderman Lackman, followed by Alderman Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Mayor, thank you, appreciate what you do out there. It is a needed service. The residents have spoken and said they do want a cleaner Spring Lake. On some of these cases that are open, at what time frame does it go from open to some sort of action or closure?
Okay, so the due process, the way it works is the initial letter for anything other than minimum housing, anything that falls under the nuisance is a 12-day period. Anything that's minimum housing gets a 30-day minimum. They get a 30-day minimum on their letter. So after those days, especially with case log and things like that, we try to get to them as soon as we can after that 12 days. Let's just say that I don't get any response from anybody, I get no communication, they don't reach out, I can't reach them, then those cases normally move a little faster. If they reach out to me and like, hey man, I just wanna let you know that, hey, this is why this is like this, or this junk vehicle is actually very personal to me, I give them direction on what they can do to save that vehicle, keep that vehicle, and things like that. So initially after that 12 or 30 days, it comes the second notice of violation, which is a notice of hearing. That's where I would conduct a hearing here with the individual of the property owner. We have to set that no earlier than 10 days from the day it goes out and no later than 30 days. That's the state law. So after that, they would receive if there's still no compliance, they don't show up, that's when we go through the final letter. Now, the final letter, if it's a junk vehicle, would also be attached with a 10-day tow notice. So they would have another 10 days from that. If we send out the final letter and they still try to communicate, they're still currently working on it, I have no problem granting additional time as long as I see progress. It's when the progress stops or they just don't care, that's when we try to pursue, taking action. But as long as the property owner is willing to work with me and go through the motions of trying to take care of the property, I'll work with them all day long as the town allows.
I do notice that the signs out there, you know, it's not as much for the resident, but also for the neighbors that are around there, because they're the ones that eventually have called in to say,
Right.
hey, you know, this is, you know, I keep my place up to standard. So those signs do help, and I have had some comments from people in regards to those.
Yes, and just to add to that, I've had, a couple signs that I've placed out. That's when they finally reached out to me, after the letter's been out there. So the sign did actually create the communication that was needed to get them to clean up the property. So they are working, yes.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. So I wanna thank you, because I see, there are people cleaning up, yards that have just been unsightly for a good while. So I do wanna thank you for that. Things are looking a lot better. But I had a question. There was a sign, there's a sign on Goodyear, but it's not in your list. There's a nuisance sign, but
Yeah, I know which property you're talking about. See, the way this works is during my cases for the month, if there's ever a time that you're wondering about one, reach out to me or anything like that. The sign that's on Goodyear, actually, that particular case falls on October's list.
oh, okay.
Because of case log and how many we add to the list, we can only, you can only handle so much of a case log. So a lot of times, we'll go ahead and send the letter, and it's already out there. The only thing is, it will fall on the case numbers for the next month. So that will happen from time to time, but if there's ever one that you wondered if I've got one, just no problem, reach out to me and we'll let you, I know exactly which one you're talking about. I've actually spoke with one of the heirs to that property in regards to it. And
Yeah.
she really wants to take care of the property. So,
Yeah, I've had several calls because it's getting pretty high.
Yeah.
Now, how do we go about, sometimes people cut their front yard
Mhm.
and don't cut their backyard, I did that.
Yeah. That's still a violation.
That's
Yeah,
still-
yes.
okay.
I have one right now, on Kristen, that they always cut the front, but they never cut the back.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, so regardless, it's still in violation as long as it's above the allowed inches for
Okay.
the grass.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now move on to agenda item 8, our monthly financial update from Ms. Kendra Boyle from the LGC. Hi, sweetheart. It's your first update for us.
It is. Thank you, Carly. Okay. What I have given you today are the last 3 updates that were presented to the Local Government Commission. The mayor brought up last week that she wanted you all to have exposure to what the expectation would be when we turn control back over to you all. So I thought it would be important for you to see what we give the Local Government Commission. You also see that you know this information. You should be aware of the things that they're voting on, the action items that they're taking. In July, there were 4 amendments that were made to the budget that was adopted in June. And those, the high level details of those amendments is outlined on this update. And just to give you an example of the kind of things that will come before you when you all assume financial control again, there was a ladder truck taken out of service. It's being sold. Those proceeds need to be put in the budget so that they can be spent. So we had to do a budget amendment to record those into the budget. But then also, about the same time, there was the need for some additional expenditures for insurance for fire equipment. So we had a coming in and a going out. Those needed to be recorded into the budget. So that was that first budget amendment. Budget amendment 2 and 3 were related to a direct allocation of legislative dollars that were given to the town. They were specific in what they can be spent on, and that was an asset inventory assessment
study and a merger regionalization feasibility study. So we had to put in those monies and then appropriate the funds so that those studies could get underway. Also, the fourth one was in reference to a gravel truck that was needed to pick up trash. And so that purchase was made, so that had to be put into the budget, and funds had to be found in order to make that purchase. So we did that. The rest of the update has to do with the things that are important in our focus to the local government commission in order to be able to give you back control. And I keep saying that over and over because it's a goal. It's a goal we have, it's a goal you have. We do not like to come in and take control of the finances of a unit of local government. We want you to self-govern, and so that is our goal. And so you'll see that in each one of these updates, there's a fiscal summary talking about where the bank reconciliations, how they stand, because that was one of the items that was not being done. So we keep the commission up to date on that. The status of the audits, that is another item that was not being done. So those are two things that are essential to be done, and they are getting worked on now. You'll see that the last audit that was done was June 30, 2020, that when we got to someone trying to do the June 30, 2021, those records were not auditable. They could not be done, and so we've had to waive that requirement, but now we're working on getting 2022 done. And there's a lot of work. It's not just like a regular audit to do that, because they've got beginning balances that they've got to be comfortable with. So that's kind of where we're sitting now, is that the auditors have to get comfortable with those beginning balances and then move forward and look at all the transactions that happened in 2022 so they can give you 2022 numbers and move forward. So the update that occurred this was actually an update that was at the September meeting that was as of August 15th. The thing that I want you to notice there is the budget amendment that had to be done to appropriate. They had to go into the budget and find $35,000 to pay North Carolina League of Municipality dues that had not been paid for many years. The League of Municipalities was still providing services, but had not been paid. And so every June 30, even if the money was put in that budget, at June 30, that budget ends. That money rolls into fund balance, and you can't pay something from a prior year in the current year unless you turn around and put it into the budget. So that's what we had to do for that $35,000 in dues. And then there's an issue with the roof. The roof in the town hall needs to be replaced, so that we had to find $120,000 to do that. So we had to move around some money and find the funds for that. So, and in order for that work to begin, that it had to be in the budget, so that a purchase order could be issued and then the work could begin, because without that purchase order being issued, the town is under no legal obligation to pay. So now we've got all our ducks in a row, and we can take care of this. The other thing to note is that Mid-Carolina COG has come in and is helping with human resources. They're there to go in and validate all the benefits that are being received, to get all the HR processes in place that need to be there. And they've got someone here on site that's available to help employees. So we feel like that's a really important step in progress that's has been made. And then next page you'll see is the actual budget amendment that was done for the roof and for the dues. I just wanted you to be familiar with what an amendment should look like and what you'll be seeing in the future. Then just some more details about significant goals that are in the fiscal accountability agreement for the town. And then on the update that's headed September 15th, there was information presented to the local government commission about the things that you all are doing, that which was taking the unit assistance list training course at the school of government. I think you all have completed that. So far that's already happened, so I hope you found that beneficial and enlightening as to what your responsibilities as aldermen and women is to the town. Also, one thing that's in the fiscal accountability agreement is that you have put together an audit committee and you get these processes and procedures updated. And that really is essential, because you can't be in compliance with all the statutes and the rules if you haven't updated your policies to match those changes that have happened in the rules and statutes. So, you know, those of you that are on that committee, look for an email from me, because I'd really like to find out what progress you've made so that I can present that to the Local Government Commission at our next meeting, which is November 14th. I'd like for them to hear how much work is going into that kind of stuff. So the next page of the presentation, and I'm not going through paying any attention to what's up on the screen either. Sorry. I can zoom to it, I think. Maybe not.
It's on there.
Okay. All right, so this is your unaudited, internal use only budget to actual for the general fund. You have multiple funds, but I felt like that would be way overload right now, but I am happy to present you for every fund coming in the future. But what I've done here in this presentation, I was giving you the original budget that was adopted in June for fiscal year beginning in July. And that was $8 million for your general fund. So, and then the next column is administrative amendments. That means these are amendments that can be done by staff with the approval of the LGC staff without having to come to the commission. So, if you keep in place the same process when you assume financial control, then your staff can make some amendments at under a certain dollar amount and keeping it within the same fund. That's the way it's set up now. So, but they would have to give you a report of what they've done, but they just don't have to get your permission to do it, as long as it's not at a high amount of money. And then there are amendments that had to be voted on by the Local Government Commission in that next column. And those are the things that we talked about. For instance, the public buildings, $120,000 you see in that row. That's what we talked about, the amendment to fix the town hall roof. So then you have your budget as amended, and then you have your actual amount that has been spent against that budget. You'll notice that the amended budget was 8.2 million, and so far, 3 months into the year, the town has spent 1.6 million. So 3 months into the year, that works out to about 25% of the year. You can use that as sort of a gauge. If you go over to the column that says used as percentage of budget, you'll see at the bottom, you guys are at about 20%. So that seems good, right? You know, right on target, moving through your budget. Now, there are some things, if you look in the detail, there are going to be some that are higher than 25%. There's going to be some that are lower than 25%. And a lot of that is due to timing of when those expenditures are made. The perfect example of that is your elections line. You'll see you've got $8,000 budgeted and nothing's been spent for that. Well, elections happen next month. So when we come to talk in December and we're looking at November numbers, that line item should be fairly close to 100% spent. So, and I'm kind of going through this in detail so that you guys understand what to look at in the future and things that you should see. Then you'll see in your communications and information technology, well, it's up at almost 32%. Well, what happens in your communications and information technology is you usually have some annual licenses that have to be paid all at once. So that's going to bump your number up a little bit higher than your gauge, your threshold of 25%. But overall, you're looking good at 20%. That last column that says encumbered on top of it, that's the amount of POs that have been issued. So those funds are obligated. So you've actually spent, just pick one, let's look at, so Fire Manchester. You've actually spent $151,850 there. But then if you go all the way across, you've got another, if I'm reading this right, another $31,000 that's been encumbered. So, so just so you know that, so if you add together the total that's been actually spent, the 1.6, almost 1.7, and the encumbered amount of 1.3, then you're at 36% of your budget is obligated. So and that's fine, that's to be expected, that's not alarming in any way, shape, or form. If you look on the next page, this is all about your revenues that have come in. So there's your budget as amended at 8.2, same as what we had on our expenditures, because we always have a balanced budget. And your actual number there of revenue that's come in is 1.64. Well, remember your actual expenditures are 1.69. So there's a difference there. That's why we have fund balance. That's to help get through the timing issues. So when you work out the numbers on that as a percentage, then you're at 19.85% of revenue. So not too far off your 20% expenditures. I feel very confident that it's all gonna work out in the end. No reason for any kind of alarm in that. And you'll see again, just like we had at expenditures, some of your detailed things has got a higher percentage than others because of timing. And then the last thing that I want to point out to you is there's some little asterisks there on the far right side at property taxes, real and personal property, and then also down at local option sales tax. That's because those numbers that I've presented to you in the actual column, there's an estimate stuck in there. Because some of that is actual, and then some of it I had to kind of make a guesstimate at, and the reason for that, well, it's more than a guesstimate, I shouldn't say that. There's a real theory behind it, and believe me, you don't want to hear it because you'd just be falling asleep. But it's there. And, but with your property taxes, real and personal property, Cumberland County collects your personal property taxes. Well, there's a lag between the time that they collect it and when they can send it to you. So of that 419,000, 137 of it is what's still owed to you guys for September. So we've got a report from Cumberland County. They say exactly how much it is. I felt very confident of going ahead and putting that number in there, even though it's not been received yet. And that's a reasonable lag time between. It's not, they're usually a little bit faster, Cumberland County is, but it's still coming, and it's not an unusual lag time for units of local government whose counties collect for them. So the Isley team's keeping an eye on that. I don't know if you all have ever met Deborah Mack, but she is, boom, boom, give me my money. So she is definitely gonna make sure that that money gets in.
We're all scared of Deborah Mack.
Okay. I don't blame you.
Yes.
So, and then on your local option sales tax, all 800,000 of that is an estimate on my part. And the reason that otherwise that number would be zero is that you have vendors here in town who collect sales tax. Well, then they have time to remit it to the state. And then the state has time to make sure that what they've remitted and what they've reported is accurate, makes sense. They go through and just do a whole lot of due diligence to make sure that the numbers are right. And then they send it into the town of Spring Lake. What gets collected in October, this month, is the money that was collected for July sales. So, so from July, August, and September, you don't have any money sitting in there because it's all from prior years' sales that you would be collecting. So I made a guesstimate. I gotta quit saying that word. It's an estimate. It's a very logical estimate based on information that's come in from the state, and the state is actually predicting that the sales tax collections are going to be about 3.5% more this year than they were in the prior year. So I could have used just taken last year's collections and upped it by 3.5%. I got a little more detailed than that, but so I think that we'll find out in December how close my estimate is. But going forward, that will always be an estimate until we're totally done with the year. But so y'all ask me that next time. Ask me how close were we, or pay attention to that and see if it comes out to be somewhere close to the 868,000. So that's what I wanted to make sure that I was perfectly transparent to you all, that there are some estimates in there. And then I'm happy to field questions. If this format is not something that you're used to seeing, or you don't like it, you want it to look different, then let me know. And I just want to give you all the information in a format that is understandable to you. And you know, and tell me if I've gone into too much detail tonight. Tell me, and
There is never, ever, ever a time where you can give us too much financial information.
challenge
Ever.
accepted.
No, seriously, we are very serious about making sure that we stay on top of Spring Lake's finances. We never want to return to the position that we were in before, which is why I specifically asked that we start prepping the board for
Right.
the transition. We need to see these things, we need to know these things, and we need to know how to respond accordingly. And so thank you for that. I would like to get this sooner so that we can
Yes.
prep for questions, but I know this is your first update and you're transitioning
Yes.
into a lot of stuff that's still happening, so we do understand that. But if we could just have a little bit more time so we can prepare for questions.
Yes, you're
I
absolutely
think,
right, and I
the board-
apologize.
No, we understand. We completely understand. I do want, just for the sake of the public and from Spring Lake's past, where we are now, when you say we found the money, it's not just, I'll let you clarify, it's not, randomly looking for change in a drawer. Just for clarity's sake.
Oh, what I'm talking about, the budget amendment.
Right.
I'm sorry, yes, okay, sorry, I'll try and erase that one from my rhetoric as well. No, we had to reallocate funds, not in a bad way, in any way, shape, or form, but it's just what you do. You have to make some changes when things come up that are unexpected. And in this case, there were funds that came in that were unexpected. So, and sometimes that's what the reallocation is you're getting more revenue than expected, so therefore you can make an expenditure that was unexpected, so.
Thank you. Alderman Palacios?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Kendra. And welcome back to Spring Lake. If anybody in the public does want a copy of this, a hard copy, or a digital copy, I'll say, because I'm not gonna make copies. But if you want a digital copy, please let me know. I'll be happy to share that with anybody. Anybody up here will. All right.
Okay. She has a copy of it.
Mayor says, go to Carly.
Yeah, she's
All right.
public records.
Public records
person.
And in terms of the format though, if you could, my suggestion is that David Irwin had a way that he presented this.
Okay,
And so if we can go by, something similar, that's my suggestion.
okay,
Everybody else might have a different opinion. But there is one thing, if you're able to add, is the comparison to last year, prior year.
okay,
Just so it's easier for people to kind of see what that looks like.
Okay.
Where we should be. The estimate that you had mentioned for the 419,000, for instance, with what we're expecting from the county, was there a date that you had that good through?
that was what had been collected but not remitted through September 30th. I think that Deborah's email said that it was expected, it may have already come in, but
that
but I will
was
follow up with
You're thinking
Deborah.
as of September 30th?
Yes,
Okay. All right. And one of the things I learned early on, and we just basically recently had a recap with our training in Raleigh a couple weeks ago, and it was the misconception of this law of 8% general fund balance. So Daniel Gerald was the citizen making the comment earlier in public comments about the requirement for 8%. I know he was the previous town manager. He was fired twice in that position here in Spring Lake. But 8% is not actually a general statute.
there is no, we call it the myth of 8%.
Okay.
Where that comes into play, the history on that is, because I worked for the commission back in 1995. And our threshold then was you had to have at least 8% in your fund balance, which is just 1 month's worth, before we would send you a letter saying, hey, you've got a real issue with your fund balance. That it became this myth that it was, there's several of them that we try to debunk. But now what we use, we look at communities across the state and what their level of expenditures are, and we come up with the average unit that spends this much money has this much fund balance available.
By population size.
Yeah.
We used to do by population size, we don't do by population
Okay,
size
what is it
anymore.
now?
Now it's about the
amount.
expenditures, how
Okay.
much you spend. Because you can be a very small town and spend a lot of money. And so that's how we made a change, is that we would do it based on expenditures. And so, and then our threshold for whether you get what we call a financial performance indicator of concern, commonly known as FPIC. It is, we look at what units that spend about the same amount as you do and have it in expenditures, and what their average is, and we cut it in half. So we have some units of local government that the average for ones that spend that much is like 167% of fund balance. So if they have at least 80% fund balance, then they don't get an FPIC. But then there are others that spend a different level, and the average is 35%. So then the threshold is lower for them. So it's you need to be able to cover at least half a year's worth of your expenditures, is what basically what we're saying. So there is no 8%.
Yeah.
And we even do a presentation that's titled "The Myth of 8%." Yes.
So thank you. And I know there was some mention about the disparate treatment, you know, when it comes to municipalities and the LGC taking over some towns and not all municipalities. And, you know, just to remind people how we got here, there were 3 audits that were past due, a nonprofit that was created to circumvent North Carolina law, and economic development practices that were done here in Spring Lake that kind of got us in a hole financially. And when I say kind of, it was a big hole. The state auditor started an investigation into the missing money and received some backlash and some impedance, and because of that, the state felt like it was important to step in and take over the funds of the town, take over the books, seize the books, and obviously found that over $500,000 was missing at that time of taxpayer dollars. I mean, these are just some of the reasons that the state came in to Spring Lake and took over the finances of the town. And, you know, we have a positive presentation again here today about where the town is headed now that there's been some turnover and the state has stepped in to help. But it's important to look back about, you know, at how we got here and why we're here, and to squash any misinformation that might be out there in the public. That the state, while it's not nice for the state to be here, it is important that the state did step in when they stepped in. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and squash some of that misinformation.
A lot of it has to do with the internal control environment and the tone at the top. And if you've, there's just so much internal controls can do also. If you have collusion, there are some things you can't plan for internal controls.
Yeah.
But if you don't have internal controls and you have that issue of people that will take advantage of it, it just,
Yeah, that was
sometimes you have
certainly
to
the case.
step
You know,
in.
we had unfortunately been at the point where we had been hiring people, not doing background checks, not doing credit checks, and letting them handle our finances. And these were people sometimes that were previously convicted of embezzlement, you know, and that's the scary part of it is things weren't being done. So, so it was important for Spring Lake to have a cultural change at the top, as you mentioned, and we also had, unfortunately, you know, when it comes to internal controls, we had a system that was just so bad, you know, our servers were corrupted, you know, there was a lot going on there too, technology-wise, where it kind of limited the availability that our staff had when it came to correcting a lot of these errors. And it was hard to find out, okay, we have 36,000 missing from this department, where's all that money? It's being received from the public, but it's not going to the bank. And, you know, so when you talk about internal controls, there are a lot of red flags, you know, that happened. And if anybody went back to that investigative audit that was done by Beth Wood's office, I mean, you'd find a lot of information there where things were done incorrectly. And so one of the things is we switched over the servers already, and we got software that we're gonna be implementing to kind of circumvent a lot of these internal control issues that we had. And I think I'm gonna stop there.
So that was a mouthful, and everything needed to be said, so thank you. Alderman Cooper?
Okay, a little PTSD from that. I'm the only one sitting up here who lived through quite a bit of that. Since Alderman Palacios did, comment on what was said, you know, as a public entity, whatever we do and whatever I do on this board, I want anybody to be able to come in here and see what we've done and make sure we've done it correctly, followed all rules and policies. So, yeah, if you want to storm our doors, our books are open. We want to be an open book, and we want you to see what we've done and anything that, any bids we've done. That's the kind of government I want to be a part of. So I want to thank you for this report. I don't really, I would like the comparison to last year.
Okay.
We actually do have that, so that is something we enjoy, or I enjoy, because I've never seen that before, to be this detailed. And you touched on Deborah Mack, and the collection of our property taxes. Because I expressed to her, you know, at a period, the contract we signed said that the managers will agree from time to time how often the funds are transferred over. My concern with that is every day it sits in their bank account, that's interest that it's earning. So I would like to find a way to do an amendment to the agreement we did, giving a specific amount of time and specific amounts. Like if it's over this amount, it gets transferred immediately. But I would like to have that put in place, so that, you know, because we should be getting that interest, from those funds.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not sure if that's you who would have that conversation with Ms. Mack, and I hope it is, because
Well, she has suggested that many times.
Okay.
She noticed that as well in the agreement. It's incumbent upon the board to know what's in these agreements. Every agreement should be reviewed by a town attorney. There should be comparison to other units of local government and what their agreements look like, so that you understand, because if you're new to a board, you don't know what it makes that contract. You don't know what is the standard. And so, there's lots of resources out there to find those standards. And I know that your interim town manager has taken advantage of a lot of those things. And you know, there's always other units of local government that are happy to help you and talk about what their contracts say. And there are units, I've seen them where they're like Spring Lakes. It doesn't say when they have to remit it. It doesn't say any time period specifically. And then there are others that they've got it nailed down exactly. It just depends on what kind of agreement the two can reach. A lot of that ends up in the attorney's hands to discuss. Not I'm sorry, it's just, it is.
It's part of my job, it's okay.
Right. So,
Alderman Lockton.
Kendra, thank you very much. You talk about Deborah Mack. We got our self-proclaimed watchdog sitting right up here on the board.
good,
Uh,
good.
Couple things, when you were talking about, the $868,000 on local optional sales tax, you said to circle back with you when?
I can send, if you want me to send you how I came up with my estimate tomorrow, I can send that to you. To circle back in December,
Okay.
and we can compare.
Okay, and as the mayor alluded to, or didn't allude, she stated earlier, that in regards to the finances on here, we walked into a mess, poor record keeping, mismanagement of funds. The one thing I want the residents to understand out here, Alderman Palacio said a lot, but the last real audit was done was in 2020. So since then, we've been, you have not gotten the service that you all needed. So that is being worked on, that's being corrected. We got Chair Becker to come in and really put us in firm footing here. And we're not here to compare with other municipalities, other counties, we are Spring Lake. We are here to do what's best for you, the citizens. And that's what you all elected us to do out here. One of the things that was underutilized or not captured right was the PAL bill. The PAL bill was not being recorded, times, monies, efforts that was put in. That was money that was there, but we couldn't utilize because we weren't capturing how that was being utilized correctly. We've been putting our personnel through training so that they could become better, so that they could be the watchdogs of your finances that we've got. Cut and paste is something of the past. You know, you've got that on your computers. I hope that when our IT folks do that, they take cut and paste off of our computers and programs, so that we do provide you that right service that you all deserve. And so we were up here to correct that. So there, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. So thank you.
Thank you, we appreciate your soapbox. Mr. Attorney, Ms. Porter?
Yeah, just briefly, it's rare that I talk up here, because that's the role of an attorney, is to be quiet, for the most part, unless you're in the courtroom, but, looking at page 2 of the report, the update, I just wanted to touch on it a little bit, because it's been kind of a contentious point, I think, with the, citizens of the town. Just want to make sure that the board and the town is aware that the LGC is fully supporting Chief Williams as interim manager, and it's not for a lack of trying that we have tried to recruit, quote, qualified, although I think he is eminently qualified, but just how hard it is for towns, small towns like Spring Lake, to attract a, quote, qualified town manager. And did just want to ask, because he's been doing a great job, is that going to literally be the last thing that would prevent the town from being released from the agreement with the LGC?
I can't speak for the commission members. I know it's one of the things that we as staff feel is very important, that you have a town manager that you have full faith in, that is someone experienced in managing the town and aware of all the rules and regulations and best practices.
Okay, I just want to make sure though that the town's aware, the citizens are aware, that the LGC has been working very well with
Yes.
our attorney.
Yes, that's true.
That's really what I'm
Yes.
getting at.
We have had lots of dialogue with Chief. Absolutely.
And I do want to make sure we are absolutely clear that there is no question of the competency of the LGC. There is no question of the need of them being here. They saved our town. We were on the verge of being, of losing our charter, which means Spring Lake would no longer exist. Without the LGC stepping in, without our contracted finance staff, without the diligence of this board and our staff, our manager, we would not be in the position that we are in today. So never question. I mean, the LGC is lauded throughout this country. North Carolina has eyes on it across the country because of the way that we handle our finances in this state. The LGC is a standard. And I thank you for bringing Spring Lake almost up to standard. We're almost there. We're just about to cross that threshold. So thank you. Thank Mr. Irwin, Ms. Edmondson, Ms. McCullen, Tiffany, Deborah Mack, Miss Sylvia, and the rest of the finance staff, because they work very hard, very hard. How did we get from 1.6 million to 11 million? Adhering to the standards of the LGC. That's how it happened. So thank you again. We appreciate you. Is there any other questions from the board? Alderman Lackman, your lights on. Thank you so much.
Very well.
Kendra, thank you.
So, yay, we got another good financial report. All right, we will now move on to 8B, our ordinance 2023-4, an ordinance declaring a road closure for Veterans Day and Veterans Day event and the unveiling of the art mural. So before we get into entertaining the motion, I would like to offer the opportunity for Alderman Palacios and Alderman Lackland to tell us a bit about this event and unveiling. Whoever's first, go for it.
Thank you, Mayor. So we have our Veterans Day ceremony and mural unveiling here in Spring Lake, and that is going to be November 10th, Friday, November 10th at 11 a.m. And everyone is invited. We have invitations that were just created, and we were excited that already we have the program already put together in terms of the outline. And we have retired 4-star General Dan Allen, who's going to be the keynote speaker of that event. And we have a couple important people that played a significant role in the painting of the mural that are going to be there to kind of share the story of that. And so one of the most exciting pieces is, other than the color guard and the fact that we're honoring our veterans and our heritage to Fort Bragg, Fort Liberty, is part of the unveiling is a parachute that was donated by a local business owner that will be covering the mural that morning, and we'll do a jump master style unveiling of the wall mural. So it'll be a great event. We'll have a lot of people here, even from out of Spring Lake, that'll be coming in for that, and so we're excited about that. But because of that and the location, the purpose of this resolution, or this ordinance, is to close Spring Avenue from Main Street to First Street so that we can have that unveiling right there in the middle of the road. So, was there anything you wanted to add?
Very well covered. So, as Alderman Palacio said, the road will be closed from Spring over to First. So it'll be done from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. So there will be a detour in there. But if you've not seen the mural that's out there, please go take a look at it. But we've got a 4-star general that's going to come and be our guest speaker. Spring Lake is restoring our roar, and so come on out and be a part of this. Be part of our first mural that's on Spring Lake, as well as honoring our veterans on Veterans Day. What better, well, on November 10th, what better day and what better time can you have than come out and thank a veteran and just be part of history.
Yeah, the mural's absolutely gorgeous. It is breathtaking to see it in the daytime. I also challenge you to go out and see it at night, because it is bright and it's beautiful. It really lights up Spring Avenue. It's like,
And if you want a good picture of it, the Attitude is closed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They're open on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so that gives you a chance to get a picture without having vehicles there, and you get the full picture.
that's great information. So yeah, definitely come out and see. So what I will do now is entertain a motion to, you had something? No, a motion to approve the ordinance 2023-4, declaring the road closure on Veterans Day. Alderman Palacios?
So moved.
Alderman Lackman?
I second that, Mayor.
Awesome. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I love unanimous ayes. Motion.
You all did mention fundraising there, maybe, I'm so sorry.
They'll share some of that on November 10th, the fundraising portion.
Put it on your update, so we'll don't know to bring the checkbook. Awesome, so we will now move on to our updates, and beginning with the mayor's report. Very first thing I want to say is congratulations to Carly Autry, who is now officially a town clerk. She completed her training this last weekend, and myself and Alderwoman Thompson were able to go up there and support her. This has been a long road, and when I tell you, Carly is such an asset to this town. She came in with no clerk experience, and every day was learning for her. And she took that challenge head on, and she goes above and beyond constantly. Constantly, she is an avid learner, and she will correct you on the spot. If you say anything about a job, she will tell you, this is not a job, this is my career. She really takes this serious, and we are so fortunate to have someone who is so dedicated to the town of Spring Lake. She genuinely loves this community, so thank you for joining our team, being excellent at what you do, continuing to grow and learn, and the community even loves her. They love Carly. We get tons of thank yous for her, again, making sure that she stays connected to the community, answering questions, being yelled at, and still being polite. She's probably one of the most yelled at people in the town. Carly takes on a lot, and she does it with a smile, and she continues to be great. So thank you for your hard work, and we look forward to just continuing to work with you.
Can I say thank
Absolutely.
you to Lynn, because Lynn did help me a lot too, so thank you.
Look at that, 2 words. Lunch with the mayor is going to be on this coming Wednesday at 12. We will be at El Toucan. So if you can, please come out to join us. Again, this is your opportunity to just sit with me and other community members to have an informal conversation about your wants, desires, wishes for the town of Spring Lake. So if you are available, please come out to lunch with the mayor at El Toucan this Wednesday at 12. Again, it is election season, so please make sure you stay connected to the early voting hours for our municipal elections. The early voting sites are at Cleveland Rec Center and the Cumberland County Board of Elections on Fountainhead Lane. And then election day will happen, of course, right across the street at our rec center on November 7th. And that is all I have. I will pass off to Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, so last month on September the 30th, we had our 5K cancer walk run, and it was a success. It was very phenomenal. But if you didn't have an opportunity to participate in that, I want to extend an open invitation to attend the Pink Diamonds second annual scholarship gala. Our guest speaker is going to be our very own Cumberland County Schools, Dr. Marvin Conley Jr., who is also a cancer survivor. And this is going to be Saturday, October 28th, 2023 at 6 p.m. The price of the tickets is $40, but it's for a great cause. It's going to be at New Life Family Center, 1420 Hope Loop Road. Don't just meet me there, beat me there. So this is an open invitation to all. Maybe you didn't get a chance to support the 5K cancer run. This is something you can partake in. So we hope to see you there.
Okay, and before we move on, I'd like to take a point of privilege, if that's okay, and invite Mr. Carlton Williams to the podium. He has a small presentation for the board, so I will pass it off to him for just a moment.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board, supporters of Spring Lake. As the mayor said, my name is Carlton Williams. I'm here tonight as the District Deputy Grand Master of the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge in North Carolina, where the Most Worshipful Daniel D.T. Thompson serves as the Grand Master. But I'm here as a representative for Sister Janice Robinson and the supervisors of Guiding Light branch number 18 of the Gleaners. And my reason for being here is to thank the board for the support that they came out and did with the young ladies on the 14th. We had, should have been a cancer walk and then a presentation afterwards, but because of the rain, we was unable to do the walk. And if we had been able to, thanks to the police chief, because he was gonna assist us with it. And during that event, as they was preparing for it, those young ladies raised $4,000 that they will donate to the cancer center that will assist ladies in getting mammograms, rides to and from treatment and things of that nature, people that's needed. And we have been doing this for at least 10 years, if not longer. We did it in Fayetteville, Hope Mills, Rayford. This is the first time we had the leadership of the town to come out and support it. So I'd like to thank you on their behalf, and Ms. Robinson has a small token of appreciation for each one of you. I only brought one to the podium with me. I will have to return to get the other. I'm an old man.
Oh, thank you. There's an apple in here. I got snacks. This is absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. Oh, that is very beautiful.
Got it, sir?
Yes, I do.
Oh.
That's yours, sir.
So again, it was such a beautiful event, and this was led by teenage girls, and so eloquently done. So it's so powerful and impactful to see our youth engage in such an amazing cause. In the fight for the cure for breast cancer. Again, I love every chance I get to acknowledge the survivor that sits up here amongst us, Alderwoman Adrienne Thompson. And if there are any other survivors in the audience, congratulations to you too. But the girls did such a phenomenal job here in Spring Lake. The room was packed to capacity. Although we couldn't do the walk, it was still such an amazing event, very heartwarming, very touching. So I really appreciate you guys bringing that here to Spring Lake, and I commend the board members who were able to make it to that event. Alderwoman Cooper, myself, Alderwoman, Mayor Pro Tem and Alderman Marvin Lackman. So thank you guys for showing up and being present. We care about our community, we care about the cause, and anytime we can support, we will. So thank you again for this. Thank you. So,
Mr. Williams, the community cares. And so that's what it takes. It just takes that engagement. And thank you for reaching out. Thank you for what you do for the community. And please pass that along to them that, we support them. They did a wonderful job. So please pass that along from us.
I just want to say thank you. I had an opportunity to attend, and it was phenomenal just to see our youth up there, just being in leadership roles, and it just touched my heart with me being an educator, just seeing that, and that's what we need more of. And I would also like to thank
Carlton Williams.
Mr. Williams for the apples, and Ms. Robinson. And one thing that we did talk about is Pink Diamonds in your organization joining together to make it grander and bigger. So we just thank you, and I hope that in the future we can make that happen.
We'll work on it.
awesome. Well, thank you so much, and sorry to come to your time, Alderman Plasko, but I will pass it off to you now.
No, that's fine. Nothing further.
You say nothing?
That's all I can say. I'm good.
Alderwoman Thompson.
The only thing I have is that they're gonna have a community watch meeting here, well, not here, over across the street at the, Spring Lake Senior Center on the 26th at 6 p.m. So come out and join the, police department if you have any concerns, so we'll see you there. That's all I have.
Apart from the importance of that, we have to. One of our vantage points is that we are a small community. We know each other, and we can build a network to provide not just, camaraderie, but safety. So please come out and attend these meetings. Our police chief and several of the officers, they're all there to hear your concerns. This is our opportunity to make sure that you're doing your part as a citizen to help keep up the safety in Spring Lake. So please attend, please. Alderman Lockman.
Jamie McLaughlin, I have a question for you. When was the last time you saw 24 people in this room for a board meeting? You're a historian, so you should know these questions.
I feel like the room has grown consistently.
Thank you. That is due to citizens coming out here and one, showing that you care and that we're up here and that we care as well. So, that's one of the things that on YouTube land, you don't get to see how many people are in the audience. But, as we look through here, 24 people were in this room tonight. So, that is huge. I remember just a few years ago, it was me, James Christian, and one other person that came to the board meetings. So, thank you all very much for coming out. Speaking of former Alderman James Christian, yesterday was his birthday. He had a birthday party over at Mikasitas. And Mayor, when I've talked to people, most of them miss you saying it's their birthday. So I want to give a shout out to James Christian for his birthday yesterday. Great party over there. About 22 people showed up to it. So that was very good. Tomorrow night is the Military and Veterans Affairs Committee meeting. It will be held right here at 6:30 p.m. We do have our fully seated group of members, but we also invite the public that want to come out and participate in this. So please come out here. 6:30 is when the meeting is. It is open to the public. We've got great things that we're looking to discuss. We've got great things that are going to be coming. Ms. Hickman is writing stuff down and eyeballing me as we're talking. So I'm going to move on to my second point, which is November 4th. It's a cleanup. And this time it's going to be hosted by Alderwoman Thompson. November 4th, it's going to be at 8 a.m. at Southwinds Plaza. The reason she is hosting it is because she's more than qualified.
That's right.
But that leads me to my next point, is on November 4th, we are having a veteran service event over at the Recreation Center. If you are a veteran, if you know a veteran that needs to update their VA, their Veterans Affairs claims, we will have veteran service officers there to assist you. So what I am asking you today is to work on finding, collecting your medical records, a copy of your DD-214, so that you can come there and you are ready to talk with that veteran service officer, so it's not a back and forth. You are coming prepared for them to assist you with your claims. So that is going to be November 4th. We have Veterans, Sand Hills Veterans Cemetery, that's going to be over there discussing with you burial options. That's why you want to bring a copy of your 214. For the family members out there or spouses, this is a good time to prod that veteran to bring that in there. So when that demise, that ultimate day does come, that is one less thing that you have to worry about for them. Veteran Treatment Court will also be there. So come get some good information. Saturday, November 4th from 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Last time this happened in Spring Lake was 2017. It was well received. We had people from Texas, we had people from Florida that came all the way up here to Spring Lake to see a veteran service officer. Folks, we have this right here in our town for you. So if you know somebody, please tell them, get that word out there. All right, next one is Wreath Across America, December 16th. We've been in contact with them, Mr. Williams, Captain back there. We've got some Wreaths Across America. December 16th is when it's going to be. It's going to be staged here at Town Hall, back along here, and it's going to be a caravan heading over there. So if you have a truck and a trailer, or if you've got a truck, or you know somebody that's got a truck that would be willing to be a part of this wonderful event, that taking the wreaths over to Sand Hills Veteran Cemetery and to lay the wreaths out there on these. I'll see you afterwards, sir. But this is a great event. So if you've got somebody that's got a truck and is willing to help, please, more information is to come for that. And Mayor, I think I've covered everything.
Awesome. And just so you guys know, the birthdays, we had a changeover in staff, and so I wasn't able to get the information, but I promise, I want to tell you happy birthday, and I promise I will. We'll get it back together. It's going to keep going, because, it's people really like that, and I want to give you that too.
One last thing, Mayor, and I want to thank Fort Liberty for having their Military Retiree Appreciation Day. For anybody that's retired and utilized those services, whether it's getting your will, power of attorney, medical records, screenings, anything like that, that is an awesome service that Fort Liberty provides to the military retirees. So shout out to all the staff, everybody that put that on.
I apologize, this is one thing that I need to mention. Cumberland County Schools is doing an exhibition powwow. Last year I got to attend the feather ceremony. I had never been to one, but it was phenomenal. So this is to learn about American Indian culture. It's gonna be November 16th, 2023 from 9 a.m. to 1, and the tickets are free. So if you have, or if you know anyone that maybe has a small daycare, this will be a great field trip. And again, the tickets are free. This information will also be posted on our website. Alderwoman Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor. So first, I want to say thank you to Mr. Carlton Williams. I really enjoyed the event on the 14th, and the young ladies did an excellent job. And the fact that they raised $4,000 for breast cancer is just phenomenal. So I'm upset I didn't win. I know I bought a ticket. I told you to make sure my ticket got full. That's number one.
Only one guarantee,
Then also, we, myself, Alderman Palacios and Mayor Pro Tem Chadwick, we attended Coach Fitch's boxing tournament at Truvine in Fayetteville. And he always has a great event, and I am hoping that we can bring him back to Spring Lake and keep him here, because and then hopefully, the mayor was a boxer, so we can get her in the ring. But he had a great event, and when next time he has an event and they announce it, please come out and support, because he takes the money and he gives it back to the children in the community. So I don't want to not mention that. Alderman Thompson and myself attended the Spring Lake Middle School homecoming. Oh my goodness, those kids had the best time. They won. I can't remember what the score was, because we were selling hot dogs and selling some shirts to help the different organizations at the school, like the band and the pep squad. We do have, and that's the Spring Lake Middle School Booster Club. We do still have some shirts. So, you can reach out to myself or Alderwoman Thompson, who's the treasurer, to get some of those shirts for some of our Spring Lake Middle School alumni. There's some of them in here. And if we don't have your size, we have an amazing young man who can make them for you. And then also, we are doing a Thanksgiving feeding, looking for volunteers for that, the day before to help with prep, and then to feed on Thanksgiving Day. These are meals, and if you know somebody who needs a meal on Thanksgiving, we'll have people who will be delivering them to them. We don't want anybody to go hungry. And we're partnered with, We Are One Big Family, so they will be also feeding Fayetteville and surrounding areas. We've also reached out to the, I've reached out to the head social worker for Cumberland County Schools. Hopefully we can get the word out to the students all over the school system, but you have to have permission for that. So hopefully the word will go out countywide and no family will go hungry. If you know somebody that you know needs some food that day, you can come get it for them. They don't have to know that that's where it came from. And lastly, the feeding for the, Thanksgiving food meal will be at Spring Lake Middle School. Mr. Gabo has given us permission to distribute the food from Spring Lake Middle School. It's there are a lot of families in need in that area, so I thought it was also a perfect place, perfect for people to drive through. So we're thankful for that. And, there were a few other things about the, upcoming election, that we should mention. If you need to apply for an absentee ballot, and that's for sick and disabled. No, I'm sorry, it doesn't say sick and disabled. The last day to apply for absentee ballot by mail for the municipal election is October 31st. And November 1st is the last day for sick and disabled requests, which begins at 8 a.m. No, I'm sorry. Sick and disabled requests begins at 8 a.m. on November 1st. And last day for sick and disabled, 5 o'clock p.m. for municipal election. And you do need a voter ID. There is no exception. You will need an ID, but you can have one made for free at the Board of Elections. If you know someone who needs one, excuse me, I'm sure anyone in here will assist in getting that taken care of, but you must have a approved voter ID.
They will allow you to vote, you'll just get a provisional ballot. And that provisional ballot will have to be turned into the Board of Elections, and you're still gonna have to show your ID in order to be able to vote. So just be aware that you will be allowed to vote, but it will be a provisional ballot. So bring your IDs if possible, expired IDs for, our elderly over the age of 65 are acceptable. And there is a list on the Cumberland County website of acceptable forms of identification. One more, Alderman Thompson.
She forgot to mention Haunted Lakes. And also, and First Friday, November 3rd, correct?
No.
No? No. Oh, as you were.
Haunted Lakes, yes, October 28th from 6 to 8. There's a map, and you can scan it, and if you have a location you want people to come and pick up candy during that time, then you can scan that and add your location. If you want to find what locations are giving out candy, you scan the other barcode, and it will tell you all the locations that are giving out candy.
Awesome. Haunted Lakes is getting fancy. We just had paper last when we started. Now we got barcodes. You are
No.
awesome. Mr. Williams?
Just two things. I will have things back. We got another meeting. I keep,
Awesome.
he keeps trying to get it, and I keep having problems. And as he talked about a little while ago, Reefs Across America. Last year, we've been doing it for a couple of years, but last year, I think we had a problem a little bit with the military. They couldn't help or something. So the mayor and everybody got on board, and this town come out. I mean, came out. They come out in rows. They were loading everything they had. I mean, motorcycle people were putting on the back of the chair. So I mean, it was a really good turnout, and we'd like to do the same thing again, because I know the military can't help this year again. So, I mean, like she said, you have a pickup truck stuff, but it was just amazing to watch these people come in and be able to go over there and see the event that goes on over there is next level. If you walk out there with a dry eye, that's on you, something's wrong with you. But I mean, it was really very good. But other than that, thank you for putting up with me for a year.
It's officially been a year.
It's pretty close, yes.
The ninth was
I
thought it was the 22nd.
Well,
Yeah,
then,
might be
as of
true.
yesterday,
Yeah,
Mr. Williams has been sitting in the seat, which was supposed to be 2 weeks, and it has officially been a year. And that it's been a spectacular year. The proof's in the pudding. You can see what he's done with our staff, with working with the LGC, with working with the board, to be thrust in this spot and take it on the way you did. Like, you set a standard for anyone that's gonna have to come in to follow behind you.
have some big shoes, sir.
I didn't do that for that, I said thank you, that's all.
I think he deserves a round of applause. Because I got a great team to work with. I got great town members, I've got, a great board up here. It's been sometimes fun, and it's sometimes not so much fun. And
But-
I'm talking out of order. Do you all see how nice these fire department uniforms look? You got one back there and this one. Every time I see them, I'm like, oh my God, they look so nice.
That's just because we cleaned up, we look terrible.
Don't shoot your can.
His people always look nice. They look right
No,
off the
but that
bat.
was just some you.
Yeah, I'll be brief. So nothing on the legal front. I will just say, 'cause this is the last time we meet before an election. So this is more towards the town and anybody watching online. We've got a really great team up here. When I first took this position, some of my brothers and sisters in the Cumberland County Bar, I think, thought I might be losing my mind because of the bad reputation. Really, you're taking over Spring Lake. It has been a pleasure. This is a great team. Get out and vote.
All right. If there is nothing more, I will wait for the Christmas lights on my board to light up before I can get it out. I entertain a motion to adjourn. Alderwoman Cooper,
So,
Alderman Lackman.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.